As the oldest Black congregation in Chicago, Quinn Chapel AME Church has long played a vital role in issues facing the African American community, dating all the way back to the abolition movement. Today, Quinn has a major focus on reducing youth violence and helping at-risk teens. To learn more, let's welcome Reverend Marilyn Brown, youth pastor at Quinn Chapel AME Church. We'd also welcome two youth from the church, Joseph Upton and Christina Boley-Jack. Take us back to 1847, when Quinn Chapel was first founded. What issues was the Black community dealing with then, and how have those issues changed over the past 164 years?
The issues at that time were dealing with slavery, former slaves, finding work, finding homes, finding jobs, in a community where you wanted to find your presence, to know who you were. We had a lot of transition coming from the South, of course, and people passing through, going to North, looking for places to stay.
What can a teen expect when he or she walks into Quinn Chapel in 2011?
An awful lot of love. They'll meet a very loving congregation, a very outstanding young pastor, and lots of hugs. You know, yeah, you'll meet people like me smiling at you.
And who doesn't love that?
That's true. That's the idea.
And Christina and Joseph, what brought you guys to the doors of Quinn Chapel? Like, what drew you to it in the first place?
Well, I was born in the church, so.
All right.
My mom, she's been hanging around the church a lot. My grandma, I think my mom was born in the church too. So church has always been an every Sunday thing for me.
Some of the kids invited me to the church to hear them sing, and after that I was just like, there.
And how long ago was that?
I was 18, so
and
I guess the end of 09, 20. 20?
All right. Practically an adult here. And Reverend Brown, I hear that you're a public defender before your time at Quinn. How does that fit in with your current role there in the church?
I often say God had a sense of humor. He seemed to mold all these things into this one package, namely me, and brought me to this very outstanding church. And he brought all those talents to combination. So we were able to bring, as a former PD, I worked abuse and neglect. So I was in juvenile court, saw a lot of things. So I was able to bring some of that with me.
Wow. Any stories that you might be able to share that you saw as your time as a PD?
Yes. I learned very quickly great needs of African American children for support systems. Also the need, we saw a lot of hunger where African American children were accused of being abused or neglected due to maybe a parent simply did not have the income to feed the child, but they were still charged with abuse and neglect. We also saw a lot of abuse and neglect due to drugs, in-home violence, and the toll that drug abuse took on families. So,
well, how do you make the Black church relevant to teenagers today?
Keeping it real.
All right.
And instead of coming into what we would call a church experience, we keep it real.
Tell me a little bit about some of the things that you love about Quinn Chapel's youth ministry. What's like your favorite part about it?
My favorite part is the music. My favorite thing is music. I revolve around music my whole life. I'm in a band, Six in the Mix. I also attended Jazz Academy at UIC for 2 years now. This year will be my 3rd year, so I just love music.
You love music. So are you a vocalist, or do you play any instruments?
I play the piano.
Let me describe a little bit of where Quinn is currently situated.
Please.
We're at 24th and Wabash. We are no longer in a traditional residential community. Icky homes have been torn down. It's a lot of commercial property now, and we're in the back of our church faces McCormick Place. So we're not a traditional church in the sense of you can draw from the community. What we found was people come from all over Chicago to come to Quinn Chapel. For example, I'm from University Park. But people come from the west side. They come from the far north side. Lots of people catch buses and trains to come to church. And I'm always curious as to why, because they pass an awful lot of churches to come to Quinn. But there is a great spirit of aliveness. Although we're 167 years old, very up to date in that we make the experience of worshiping real. Now take the youth church for example. Our youth church worships across the street at Graham School. And the church believed enough to create a worship experience for its youth, separate from the actual congregation.
You say you've got this youth center that's directed towards the youth. What do we do for teens who are involved in youth violence?
I wouldn't approach a teen trying to throw the book, the word, at them because that's not my job. All I could do is tell my testimony and my story and what my father has done for me. And I have moved some people just by what God has done for me as to taking me off the streets, blessing me with my own apartment because I was homeless. I came to Quinn and they helped me with all of that. Helped me receive my GED. I'm in my own apartment now and I'm working on looking for more work. So my testimony to my age group and under me is just to stay in school. Because I'm a living testimony. If you don't stay in school and you fight and you do all these other things, then there's no path, there's no right path if you know what I'm saying, go by doing that.
That's wonderful. And Joseph, you're 14 years old. You're in 8th grade, getting ready to go into high school. How do you divert yourself from the peer pressure? Because, you know, I mean, being 14 in this day and age, there's a lot of stuff thrown at you.
During the schoolhouse, I noticed that a lot of kids just go to school, go home. There's really no one at home. I stay busy all during the week. All extracurriculum, I do everything all during the week. So it's even hard to catch me during the week sometimes. So
You're busy.
Yeah.
All right.
Could you give them a little idea of some of the things you do?
Okay, I do basketball, I do jazz, I do music, I do church.
For the teens, it's like a lot of times we just ignore the fact that they go through crisis too. They need to be heard too, and it's just like ignoring them. And I'm not saying give them all the leeway in the world, but listen to what they have to say. Because I was in the church as a baby. My mom had me in the church. But as you grow up, you stray off the path. So, I mean, just open, we just need to open our ears and just listen, because half of the time it's attention-seeking behaviors, you know what I'm saying? In school, you acting out, you looking for love, you know what I'm saying? So that's just like the cure to things for me. If you just, you know what I'm saying, reach out your arms and let these people know that you care about them, you know what I'm saying? Don't always be in their face like, you doing wrong, you doing this and you doing that. That's so irritating to you. Seriously. I mean, now when you know you're doing something wrong, then okay, fine, I accept that. But half of the times, like, when they go back to their homes, they don't have any love there. So, you know what I'm saying? They can come to Quinn and receive a whole lot of love. Like, it's like an outlet. You know what I'm saying? Because half the times you get out of church and you're going back into a whole nother environment. And my sister, for example, she's 16. Like, I bring her to church sometimes with me when I'm able to provide the means for her to get to church. And when she goes home, she's like, it's a whole different world, drugs, violence, all that extra stuff. But I know when she tells me, like, Christina, I just want to be around the church people. I just want to be around the church people for the love. And that's why, you know what I'm saying, I can't really do nothing about her situation because it's in my father's hands. But I do know that that's all pretty much, they just want somebody to listen. Half the time, the stuff wouldn't go down if we would open our ears and shut our mouths and listen.
Thank you guys so much for being here, Reverend Brown, Joseph, Christina. I'm Ashley Mitchell for Different Drummers. Keep the faith.